So the next speaker that we have for you tonight is one of QT's very own, Stewart Riesenweber. So Stewart started out his time at QT with the QT League of Legends Club, which grew to be the most popular club on campus, a student group which had the largest numbers and the most number of events. Stewart, going beyond just being a student club leader, is also a professional esports athlete in and of his own right. Stewart travelled to Jakarta to play on behalf of Australia at an event featuring multiple different nations in APAC. So Stewart, if you wouldn't mind coming down. So I'll take it with you.
Alright, let me test this out. Alright, sweet. How you going? So typically in a speech, I imagine I'd like to start with some jaw-dropping statistic and, you know, basically anything to grab your attention. But instead, I'm going to open with a story about a young boy who wanted nothing more than to be the best dancer in the whole world, and how he had to settle for his second dream of maybe being a professional gamer. Anyways, that's me, Stewart Riesenweber. It's already introduced lovely by Mike, etc. But more seriously, today I want to address the reasons that I believe in esports and hopefully educate everyone here today on some commonly overlooked aspects of the industry. Anyways, I imagine that a lot of you have heard of the phone game Clash Royale. Anyone? What you probably haven't heard is just this year there was an esports tournament. The World Championships was played with a prize pool of $1 million US. That makes no sense, right? Me myself, the first time I heard about phone esports, I thought this is just absolutely ridiculous. Why would anyone be interested in this at all? But I soon laughed that off and realized I was being quite contradictory to myself and was being similar to those in the generation above me that don't quite understand why you would ever endorse esports. I know change is hard to grasp and stigmas are hard to overturn, but in countries with more developed esports industries, professional gamers are actually recognised as athletes. They're recognised as athletes here as well, but it's nowhere near as endorsed as it is in those countries. And this is a problem as in order to get into these spotlights, there's no direct routes in Australia, so the only way to really get in is to just know people. And I'm sure you guys have been cheated plenty of times in your lives as well, where you want to get somewhere, but there's really no direct route there other than knowing the people in charge. And that sucks, which is why with QT Esports, we want to create more open channels for people to actually get into the career that they've been chasing their whole life. But this desirable career is about as competitive as actually becoming an Olympic sprinter or an Olympic swimmer. It's not the easiest world to get into, and you have to dedicate your whole life to it, which is why it's paid in full as a career, as an athlete. Athletes spend almost up to 40 hours practice a week at least. That's their paid hours in other countries, and other than that, they also, man, stumbling hard. Just a kid, you know. Anyways. As it's endorsed more throughout the world and hopefully more locally in Australia, you'll see that there's opportunity not only for the professional gamers, as you'd expect, but different fields such as marketing, sound production, any sort of creative industries, and health and psychology. It's found that I personally believe that physical and mental health in esports is currently ill-explored due to the industry's infancy. There's movements towards the ergonomical shape of equipment, etc. I personally play on a nice gaming chair. It was $350. I know that sounds like a lot, but ever since it's fixed my posture. Going from sitting at a chair for 10 to 12 hours a day, basically leaned over, I found myself being shorter, being less healthy in general, and basically it just wasn't what you need if you want to continue in life and not have to get surgery on your back, etc. We need to take care of our athletes, and we need to continue endorsing esports. I'll finish off by just saying that I do think that esports is an incredibly viable industry and career as a whole, and Australia is progressing further and further, but if we don't want to be left behind by the rest of the world like we do with just about everything technological, then I think that we have to endorse and grow if we want to be a competitor in the world scene. Thanks for listening to me. Just the kid.